Yeah, hi everyone. You may be wondering where my Lumia 1020 test or review video is. I've had the phone now for a week and a half, and I have a 2-week right of return option here where I purchased it, and I purchased it locally here in my country rather than as an import. Specifically because of this, because I thought, you know, there's a chance I may return it if it's not up to scratch, and it was a hard decision. I did a lot of testing of the camera for the past week and a half. Took a lot of photos, some of which will be in my review later. If I was going to return the camera, first I had to find out if I was going to be able to. The local people were very nice and good about that, and yes, I can do that. I explained the issue, which is not obviously very clear to people, but I know what the problem is, and so they took my word for it, and which was nice of them, and offered me to replace it. And they had one more black one, luckily, otherwise this could have turned into a long drama. And so I'm just cleaning up the phone. I'm going to pull some last photos I took off it, and then pack it up again and return it. And the next camera will hopefully not have the problem. I mean, there is a risk that the next camera may be the same, but what I did here was I actually went, after trying to get some photos off some people in the local forum, but no one, some new owners of the 1020, but no one obliged there. I then tried, I went around the different shops and tried the same camera, because that had now arrived in various shops, and I tried 3 other cameras the same in other shops and did direct comparisons in store of the streets and so on with the camera on a bench, and was really just confirming my suspicion that there was some sort of bad off-center spherical aberration in this particular camera, which I was able to confirm pretty much, and I can demonstrate that in these shots. So let me just pull these photos off this camera, which I do just using Windows Explorer. I don't use any sync tools. I don't really see the point. It's easiest just to now and then go in and drag the photos across, and so that's all I'm doing. In fact, sample picture, now where is it? Camera roll. I guess the only hassle is you've got to wait for it to show you the pictures on the camera roll. So in the meantime, I mean, the phone's been great otherwise. I guess my only comments thus far are it's really weird to hold. It's I didn't think it would be so bad. It's not bad, it's just weird to hold. It's definitely not as comfortable as the big old 920. That's a brick, but it's sort of solid and easy to hold. The 1020 has this weird sort of shape to it. Just the fact that it tapers there, there's the hump there, and you're sort of always trying to keep your fingers off the lens cover there. You just sort of get into this weird kind of, it feels delicate. A bit like an iPhone feels. It's got a sort of delicate feel, even though obviously it's not really that delicate. Let me just pull off my pictures here. The last photos I took, which I believe were, sorry about this small delay, as I always do. There we go. Just some snaps of a nice Jensen I saw on the street. Now, one thing about the camera, regardless of everything, is the way it's very nice that you can zoom in and get your 5 megapixel high quality image off this, because of the so-called lossless zooming. That's nice. I'm enjoying that, because on a 35mm SLR in the days, my favorite lens was always an 85mm f1.8 short tele portrait lens. Use that for landscapes, use that for people shots, use that for almost everything. And these cameras, of course, are always wide angles or super wides, and so it's difficult to take a portrait with this kind of camera. So that I was looking forward to having the zoom for that purpose. So you can just zoom in a bit, get good decent perspective without the wide angle distortion and so on, and take a nice portrait shot. Ultimately, though, it's not the degree of zoom available without losing the pixels is not a short tele equivalent. It actually, because it starts off so wide at about a 25mm equivalent lens, when you zoom in, you end up at about a 50mm equivalent, so just like a traditional standard lens, which is quite funny. So it's nice to have, but that's what that is. It's really just like a standard lens shot across the road of a car. The quality is, of course, nice, super saturated, as this camera tends to do. It's pretty good. Pretty good, although it's typically blurry on this side. You won't be able to see that in this video, of course, but I certainly can here. It gets quite fuzzy on this side of the image, which is really what it's doing. Okay, so I've got those pictures off it, so I'm just going to hard reset this, or not hard reset, I'm going to do it as soft reset, and then I'll give it a clean, put it in the box. I guess you should always do this if you buy something. You keep all your stuff in the box, because when you bring it back for return, they want everything back in exactly as it was. So just for fun, let's do a reset here. We'll just have a quick think about how I got everything off it. Actually, there's something I should do. I should go into my little timesheet app and do this. I think it's syncing anyway. Blah blah blah, 5 added, 0 update. This never makes any sense what it says it's doing. Let me just do that again. And I guess I'll rely on that being accurate. Just for fun, I'll also go into the export. This is a program called Simple Timesheet, which I bought the pay version of. I'm going to export as CSV as well. Even though it says to choose the month, but it actually just gives you everything because it's buggy. And just for fun, I'll run that back too. Just to be sure, even though I know it's buggy. I'm just going to run that back to there. Whenever I choose a date range and export, it always just gives me everything. Okay, so that's that one. Being a Windows phone, I don't have to worry about, text messages or emails or anything like that. Contacts, all of that stays. All of that is taken care of. Photos I've just dealt with. I've backed them up locally because you don't get the high-res versions, of course, on the SkyDrive. You just get the full-res versions. Video I have done. And everything else can go. I'm going to lose where I'm at in one of my games, but I don't care. Actually, I'll just see if this is all these apps. Tell you what, all these apps that back up to the SkyDrive and stuff, I find they just totally unreliable. Never seems to work properly. Let me just go into app settings. This is Markets and Me, a nice stock market app. So backup on, use file, backup to SkyDrive. So I'll do that, and then watch me when it says it's done. Watch me when I reinstall this on the phone again. It's not even going to give it to me, guaranteed. Oh, and I guess the last thing, no, there's no point backing this up because it's not going to, it's not actually going to let me restore it to a new phone, the app list and that sort of thing. It does bring back the contacts and text messages and so on, but it doesn't bring back the app list and that sort of thing if it's a new phone, because even though it's the same model, it's a new phone as far as Windows Phone is concerned, so that's fine. Quick look down here. Okay. Tell you what, an app I had trouble with, which is now gone, is Podcast Lounge, which I had bought a year ago or so. And I installed that this time. I wasn't using, because I was just using this one, Podcast. And then I reinstalled Podcast Lounge because it had good GDR2 and all that. It was able to keep the podcast up to date and all that. And this phone was crashing. It just kept resetting itself several times a day. And I said to someone in the forums, I said, oh, I've got the same apps on it that I had with my 920. And then I thought about that, and I thought, no, I don't. I've got one new app, and that was Podcast Lounge. And I thought, well, if it's updating itself multiple times a day to download things, maybe that's what's triggering the crashing, the resets. And so I uninstalled that, and sure enough, it hasn't reset itself since. So you know, you've got to watch these apps. Okay, that's all looking fine. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. Where is the whole reset thing? It's under, is it under About? I think it's under About. Reset your phone. Resetting your phone, erase all your content, apps downloaded, restore factory settings. Do you want to continue? Yes. You sure you want to erase? Am I sure? Oh gosh, I hate doing that, but especially now in the middle of a video. There's no documents on this because everything's on SkyDrive, so it's actually fine. Yep, okay. Bang. Goodbye. Let that do its thing. And I've got this little plasticky thing. Just shove it back in. I'm not sure I'm going to put this little thing back on the lens there because it's probably got dust on it. Enough dust that it would be visible. Okay, so here comes the phone back again. Now we'll just let it come back to somewhere like that, to wherever it first goes to, and then stop, I guess. Seeing as I've gone this far, I may as well go all the way. So what else can I say about my first impressions in this first week and a half? The camera, it always keeps going back to the camera. The camera is a big step up on the 920. A big step up. The 5 megapixel images are far better than the 8 megapixel ones on the 920. Yeah, that's really obvious. And quite surprising when you look at them too. You think, oh gosh, oh, this is the 5 megapixel image. This isn't the 34 megapixel. This is a 5 megapixel, and it's definitely a major step up. It does show you that resolution doesn't have to matter in the output, but it does matter on the input. You know, when you're gathering information, yes, it does matter how much information you're gathering. Specifically, how many pixels it has on output is less important. You know, so if you're looking at it on a screen like this, it hardly matters at all. Anyhow, that's one point. The big, full high-res images, funny thing about them is they're not necessarily all that much better, because they then start to show all the flaws in the whole digital imaging and the lens and so on. It starts to, you know, if you look at those images, of course, it all just falls to pieces. But the 5 megapixel images do look very, very good. Except on this particular phone, the images on the left, all the images on the left of the frame were really only as good as the 920. And that's really what was disappointing about this. I needed it to be the same step up I was getting in the middle. I needed that on the edge. And I don't mean the corners, because I expect them to be out, and in all the review images the corners are quite badly out, because it's such a wide angle lens, partly. But just around, you know, a third of the way out, that area start to get bad, quite bad. And especially on one side, I just wasn't happy with that. And as I'm saying, the images of this would only look as good as the 920s in that area. And that wasn't good enough when the rest of the image was a big step up. So that's stopped the cogs spinning, which is nice to get past. I had flashbacks to my 920s, staying on those cogs for 2 days and never coming back. But this is obviously fine. I think that was a pre-Portico problem that must have been in the early ROMs, that so many of them would brick themselves on reset. That's not a problem anymore. I'm pretty sure you can hard reset these anytime. This, of course, just being a soft reset. Yeah, I think so. I can't recall now. So we'll just let this come back, and then I will finish this video, which typically is already getting very long. Not sure what else. The battery life was good, apart from that Podcast Lounge app that I think was the source of several problems. The battery was quite variable. On one day it all of a sudden flattened very quickly. Other days it was variable. since I removed it, it's just been like the 920. It's been good. The charging time just the same as the 920. It all performs the same as the 920. Here we go. Here it's coming. The sound is all good. Everything's louder, I think. Here we go. Welcome to your Windows Phone. So I'm just going to stop it right there. Okay. Say goodbye to your Windows Phone. Turn that off. I'll do that. Slide down to power off. Goodbye. I'm going to wipe it. I'm sure you've seen me use these things in my other videos. A nice fresh lint-free dust cloth, which you can get from the supermarket for $1 or $2. Get a good quality one. There's no need to spare money on that. They're very nice. And keep your phone very clean. Tell you about the case of this phone and the Gorilla Glass and all that, and even this little back lens place. It doesn't pick up fingerprints like. I mean, the 920 was already a big step up from the 800 in that regard. But this one is another big step up from another step up from the 920. It is not a lint magnet. It's really very good. It stays very clean. I mean, I've had it out of its case because I haven't got a case for this entire week and a half, and it looks perfect. Okay, so let's just pack this up. Now that is, of course, somewhat dusty, but I can't really help that. There we go. I do have these things, but there's not really a lot of point of putting that on because it's just dusty. So I won't. And how about this piece that went on the end? Well, now where did it go? It went up here. Oh, my SIM. Ha! There we go. Watch me almost send it off without with my SIM in it. I'd probably walk in all proud and say, there you go, it's all nice and perfect condition. And then they'd say, have you got your SIM out? And I'd look at them with a silly look on my face. Okay. Not that easy to get out. There we go. That door is also that much better feeling than on the 920. Some of the there've definitely been some manufacturing improvements. The headphone socket feels better. Quite a few small things like that are just obviously have been improved. So I'm just putting this little piece back on. That's getting pretty fussy. But what the hell. I kept it, so there it is. There we go. Get all my fingerprints off it. And I guess I should call this a boxing video, shouldn't I? I will. I wonder how many boxing videos there are. There are probably heaps. People who unbox something and then send it back. It must happen often enough that people go through this. There's the thing. I haven't taken that out either. I've left everything in the box pretty much as is. Now, the question is, was it like this? I think it was, because that little this little bit was in there like that. Must have been like that, with the camera upwards. Not really sure about that. It's not very smart, is it? So if I put this on there, well, I'll put it on there just to keep it protected. All right, well, let's say goodbye to this Lumia 1020, and we'll say hello to a new one a little bit later, and hopefully that one performs a bit better. I'll certainly have the images to compare. That'll be very interesting. Okay, thanks for watching. I'll catch you again soon. Bye-bye.